What's up everybody? Welcome back to Bark Forge. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I got a installation / review video for you guys. Today we're going to be talking about the heavy duty welding and fabrication table from KLUTCH. I got this table from Northern Tool. I don't know a lot about Northern Tool. I just kind of came across this site the other day when I was looking for a setup table for the next project I'm going to be doing, which is the Forge build. From what I can tell, Northern Tool, you know, they sell a lot of name brands, but they also sell a lot of, you know, dare I say, Harbor Freight-ish items. So I don't know exactly what to expect here. I did look at a bunch of reviews on this table. It had tons of good reviews. The only complaint I saw was that a couple people had some issues with the table not actually being perfectly flat. While that is the only issue I saw, that is kind of a big issue for a setup table. So we're going to see how that goes. Now you can get this table for about $150. From what I saw looking online, you know, there's not a lot of tables that come with clamps, fixturing devices, stuff like that. And for the next higher up fit-up table, which I believe is made by Strong Hands, you're looking at closer to $400, $500. So is this a good buy? We'll find out. Now keep in mind, I'm looking at this through the lens of a small shop DIY person. I'm not a professional machinist, I'm not a professional welder, but I needed something that was compact, because, you know, I only work here in my garage, I don't have a ton of room. I needed something that was compact, I could get the job done, and that I could do some simple fabrication work with. So let's open it up, let's see what's inside, and let's see how it performs. Alright, so the first thing we got here is this metal frame. I can tell you already, not super sturdy. You know, I'm not saying anything yet, but we'll see how this all comes together. We'll see how sturdy it is at the end of the day. Alright guys, here it is. Here's the actual table surface. Now, right off the bat, I have a huge dent in this thing. So that is pretty unfortunate. Now, I'm not a picky guy. You know, to me, something simple like this, it's not worth returning the product over. I'm just gonna hammer that back out. Because again, I'm not a professional welder, so I'm gonna hammer this out as best I can. I'm sure we'll get it level enough. So for now, we'll just ignore that and continue to set this up. Now, the rest of the table looks pretty square to the naked eye. We'll check it out later with a large actual square. But let's keep putting it together. So we're going to skip through all this warning and, you know, may cause California and cancer crap. Get to the good stuff. So now this table comes with two configurations. You can either leave it as is like this, sit it on a workbench and use these short feet that go on the side, or you can use the legs that it comes with and make kind of like a low work table. So I'm going to be using the low work table configuration. So it recommends flipping this thing upside down to put the legs on. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to lay something down to keep the surface from getting all scratched up by the concrete. So what they recommend doing is installing the short table legs first, and then installing the large table legs on top of those. That way you don't need to completely swap them out if you want to change configurations. Okay, so I'm trying to organize all these pieces here to show you, and I just want to point out something that's happening. So these little brackets here, I don't know what these are actually for yet, we'll get to that later, but they have magnets in them because they're meant to stick to the table, and the magnets are just falling out of the magnets are just falling right out. So that's not great. I will glue these in better, but right off the bat, a little annoying. Here's another one. I'm finding magnets all over the place. Alright guys, so here's everything the table comes with as far as fixturing. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through each of these, show you how it works, maybe give my opinion about how it all goes together, and then we'll look at the overall capability of this table. So the most basic hold down we have on this table are the clamps. So the way the clamps work is pretty simple. Here's your clamp right here. We're going to insert this threaded end through the table. We'll run this nut on the back, hand tight, and then we'll clamp down to our piece of square tubing here. So this post actually indexes nice inside of the table. It looks like it's wobbling, but there's actually a boss on the end here that fits into this hole. Okay, so we got that hand tight. Could slip on our clamp. Let's say this is where we want our piece of square tube. And crank this down. I actually do really like the handle on these clamps. You know, these are definitely not very heavy duty, but the triangle handle actually gives you something to really crank on. So there we go, we're clamped down. Alright, now let's say we've got two pieces of square tubing here, and we're going to want to weld these at a 90-degree angle. So there's a couple different ways we can do this. The simplest way would be to take maybe a couple of these black pucks here. Now these are spacers to be used for the tubing, round tubing fixture. You could simply lay these in the table and use that to index on. So if we went two there, two here, maybe a little closer. Now we have a perfect 90-degree angle as long as these are kept flat against those pucks. And then we would come over with our clamps. And there we go. So that's going to be a perfect 90-degree joint right there. This is nice and solid. These aren't going anywhere. So that's a really easy way to do that. Now there's another way to do it using these adjustable stops. Just place these on the table. We're going to want to use the flat end, obviously. So then we're going to take this top clamp here and what they're calling the threaded adapter here. This clamp is going to go over top of our stop. We're going to pass one of these hex screws through that stop and through the hole in the table. And then this threaded adapter here, magnet side up, is going to go under the table. And then we're going to thread this screw into the top of this adapter here. So unfortunately, I did just leave one of those magnets under the table. So I'm just going to ignore the magnets for now. I'll get them JB welded in later. That is really annoying, so keep that in mind. It's not a huge deal. It's an easy fix. Again, if you're a DIY person, you're looking for something cheap and simple. So far, I still say this is you know, a good bang for your buck, but the magnets are going to have to get a little attention. So now, using these adjustable stops, you can begin to locate stock where you want it on the table. Now, I don't really understand exactly how you would keep this perfectly square, since both of these stops are free to move and they're only held down in one place. And looking at the diagram they have in the instruction manual, there's no better way, I think, that they recommend doing it. So, not really sure what that's about. It could be because they don't intend for you to use this to actually square up square tubing or square stock. I don't know. But I will show you another use for these sliders as well. What you can do is take these fixtures here. These are for round bar, round tubing. You can actually lay them inside the ends of these sliders. And now this can be used to locate round tubing on the table. So you just have to lay your piece of tubing across the gaps, and now you can use this to manipulate this wherever you want it to go. Now let's say you do want to keep it perfect 90 degrees and you don't want to use the sliders. That's easy too. You would just take this off, remove these fixtures, and instead you would just place in these little black pucks inside of these holes, and then place the tubing fixtures inside of those pucks. And there you go, those are perfectly square to one another. So you get this laid in there, get it sitting tight, put your clamp on top of that. Now, here's something that's kind of annoying. If you can see this, the clamp does not have an adjustable length, and it's just slightly too long to actually clamp onto a piece of work in the next row of holes. I'm a little surprised by that. That seems like a no-brainer to me. But the simple way to get around that would just be to move this over. That is, if you want to clamp directly between your two standoffs. If you want to clamp on the standoff, it's in the perfect position. So that might be more what they had in mind. But if you were to want to clamp in between these standoffs, all you would have to do is just move this over one position, and now you're pretty much directly in the center of that standoff, so there's no issues there. Now these round fixtures actually have two configurations. You could take this fixture, pass it right through that hole. It does index nicely in the hole, and then using a threaded adapter, you could pass one of these big machine screws through this hole. Actually, that doesn't make sense at all. Here's another thing I'm a little confused about. Fixtures for round tube, this boss on the bottom fits perfectly into the table. You don't need to use this round adapter here. I'm not sure exactly what these are for, if not to just, you know, quick and dirty square up some tubing like I did before. Because clearly these are meant to go together, and in the instructions this is how they've shown it put together, one fitting inside of the other one. I guess that'll give you a little more height off of the table if that's what you want, since these can actually be stacked, although I'm not sure that that's actually how they intended that to go. But if you can see here, this is actually threaded on the inside. I don't understand why. Because there's no configuration here where threading something into this makes sense. Now, my initial thought was, okay, maybe you can use one of these threaded adapters to put this down on the table and then fix it in place so that it's not going to go anywhere. Unlike these where you can just pull them out whenever you want. You know, maybe you want it to be more permanent, sure. That would make sense to me. The only problem is this is threaded and this is threaded, so if you try to pass a nut through those, you're going to have problems. You have this middle portion which is unthreaded, but even if you were to use that middle portion, these bolts that the table comes with are so long that once you go through here and then through the table, you're still going to be sticking out of this. You're still going to be sticking out of this V-block way high, which completely defeats the purpose. So, I don't know, let me know. If anyone knows, maybe leave it down in the comments why this is threaded. I can't figure it out. The instructions aren't that great, so who knows. So I mentioned before that I also want to check the squareness of this table. This is the biggest square I have. I do have some flat stock that we can lay across. I don't know how accurate that's really going to be, but, you know, right off the bat, just passing this square over it in different locations, I can see that, you know, I think we're out maybe, you know, maybe 30 thou over here, just looking at it, which for me is perfectly fine. About the same over here. Obviously we have that dent on the corner that I have to take care of. Looking this way, that one's even closer. So as far as this table being out of square, I don't think that's really going to be a major issue for my table specifically. Yeah, this side is nice and square. So, you know, keep that in mind. It is a possibility. Others have said that theirs have been out of square. If you need something super precise, this is obviously not the table for you. But for what I'm going to be doing, so far this seems perfect. So I'm not going to be welding on this table just yet. I don't have any stock right now to really test this out. This table is going to get a lot of use during the Forge Cart build. You can check out the design for that on my Instagram. But for now, I think it's time to get down to the nitty-gritty. Is this table worth it to buy? I'm going to be Captain Obvious here and just say it really depends on what you're looking for. For me, you know, I'm, I guess, what our Lord and Savior AVE would call a home gamer. That means I'm doing DIY projects at home with the setup that I have, which for me is this ESAB Rebel 215 IC, which is a great machine, by the way. So, you know, that's a little more than you'd probably find in the average garage. But for what I'm doing, which is very basic welding, basic fab work, I'm going to say right off the bat, yes, this table is worth it for me. Like I mentioned, I think it's like $150. I'll put a link down in the description if you want to pick it up. And let's be honest, this is not a precise or professional weld table. But I wasn't looking for a precise or professional weld table. I was looking for a quick set of tools that can let me square up stock and do some welds and put something together that's going to be decent for what I'm looking for. And I think this table is exactly that. As far as the quality, like I mentioned throughout the video, there's definitely a few things, quality control wise, that I'm not exactly happy with. Namely the magnets on the threaded fittings, the fact that my package came damaged and I got a dented corner over there, and just the general chintziness of a lot of the parts here. The instructions weren't that great, and I will say that, you know, I'm still confused about exactly how they intend these fixtures to get set up in certain configurations, because they haven't really outlined it great in the manual. So if that's going to be a major problem for you, obviously maybe this isn't your table. So like I mentioned earlier though, the next highest table, which is a similar set, in fact, from what I've seen picture-wise, they look exactly the same. I'm not really sure what the key differences are, but there's a table, similar size, made by Strong Hands, same exact kit. You get some clamps, you get some V-blocks, etc. And that's going to run you over $400. Now, Strong Hands makes great products, so I'm sure that that table is going to be better quality-wise, and if that's worth it to you, then definitely invest in the next level up table. But for the money, $150, to be able to do the fabric that I want to do at home, this is going to be invaluable. And I will definitely update this video as time goes on if I have any further problems with the table. But at the end of the day, it's a flat piece of steel with some holes in it that I can clamp stuff to. So as long as it can do that, then we're good. I did mention before I want to put a shelf down below right there. You can see it's kind of already set up for one. That's angle iron linking all those legs together. So I really just need to weld in. I'm probably going to do expanded metal just so it doesn't get covered in dust and stuff. I'll just weld in a shelf. I'll make a quick video about that for you guys. That's going to be a very quick project. And I think it will increase the utility of this table by a lot. Alright, so that's it. If there's anything you guys think I forgot to mention, you have any questions, leave it down in the comments. I'll definitely answer them, no problem. I also think I might pick up a small vise for the corner of the table. I think that's going to be really helpful. I don't know if it's going to get in the way. Maybe I'll make it removable. Not sure how exactly I'm going to do that, but we'll see. Alright guys, so that's it. The Clutch heavy-duty welding fabrication table from Northern Tool. Again, if you're a DIY person, you're doing stuff from home, small scale, I definitely recommend it. Anything above that, I'd probably invest in something that's going to last you a little bit longer. Alright, thanks for watching guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. I have a couple more goodies that I picked up. So maybe I'll do a quick review on those things. I've also started getting parts in the mail for the new Forge project. That's really exciting. So I think that's going to be a big hit. It's going to be a multi-part series because it's going to be a long project. But thanks again for coming back to Bark Forge. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe, leave a comment, consider liking. Follow me on Instagram at BarkForge. The channel is really small right now. I'm hoping to grow it, and your support would mean a lot.